is there any portable shelter that we can put in our carts?
I was gonna ask, can we buy like some super nice, like have you ever played Monster Hunter and like there's a little tent you can go to? It's just kind of like lots of fur, and you've got enough time to hang out with your cat on the inside. Look at your weapons that are like 5 times the size they should be. Is there stuff like that? Can we buy some nice tents, some nice fur tents?
Like the non-magical equivalent of Leoman's tiny hut.
I mean, basically, I suppose that's true. I don't
just
have
weather
one.
protection. It doesn't need to protect us from everything else.
It would be a handy spell to have here.
I don't think I took it because reasons. I don't remember. What did I grab?
Who knows?
Thought you were going to look up something like Lehman's, but
She says, well, we do have the occasional hunter that passes through that looks for something like that. It's not very big. It might fit the 4 of you. Well, she doesn't know there's 4 of you. It might fit the 3 of you.
I don't think I can because it's not a level 1 spell.
Nope.
So I think hold on. This is where not having a regular character sheet is going to hurt me.
She kind of leads you to the back where there's some of the less commonly requested goods. And there is sort of a fur-lined yurt that you could probably put on the wagon. It would impact the sitting space on the back, but it would also cover the people back there. You'd have to sit on the floor instead of the seats on the sides of the back, essentially, to fit underneath it. And it might have just enough room for 4 people. The horses are going to not be able to use it, but it would at least take the worst of the sting off from the weather.
Lehman's Tiny Hut is a level 3 spell.
Yes.
Ritual.
I believe I'm more than capable of learning it. I believe I took that feat. Ritual casting, maybe.
I thought you did.
I thought I did too, because that's why I have Find Familiar now and Identify. So I don't know how else I would have done that, other than cheating. And I don't think I did that. But I don't have Lehman's Tiny Hut. We would have to find someone that knows it, which I have not done.
Well,
But like a tent, we could get.
yeah.
We
And
could
this
also
thing,
just buy
for 10 gold, she'll give it to you. It's relatively fine furs and the construction of it, but so an additional 10 gold if you'd like that. And again, it will fit on the back of the wagon to some extent. It's not like it latches on, but it can sit on top and protect the folks back there a little bit, and then provide some shelter at night. She says this will help, but I would recommend finding something that's going to block the wind more than this.
And so she didn't have anything more durable, like a big thing we set up?
No.
I've stopped petting the dog at this point, reluctantly, and then I come over and...
She says people very rarely journey out far to the east. They might go out to the east and come back within the same day, but most people aren't crazy enough to stay out there.
This doesn't even know that Lehman's Tiny Hut exists, because, see, that's the problem with this logic.
Probably not.
Yep.
You're probably out of luck.
Is there any place that we could try to find a more durable structure of some kind? Does anyone sell any, if not for you?
She says, I'm pretty much the only game in town, and again, most people have no desire to stay out there for any reason.
Well, unfortunately, our hand is forced in this matter, so, thanks for nothing, lady.
Yeah, how dare she?
I'll thank her for helping us as much as she could, and then probably, is there like a changing room where we can change into our warmer clothing?
Absolutely.
Excellent. I will go in and change, and I will also change up my hairstyle a little bit. I'm going to tie most of it in a bun and then braid the rest of it and then tuck it into like my jacket or whatever.
We don't have time for this kind.
It's not going to take that long. I've done the thing.
We're all out there like freezing, like, can we come in now? And you're like, hold on, just like 30 more braids.
Look, it's fine. Bun and braids, it takes like 2 minutes, and then I'm done. Plus, you guys are all inside in the fitting room. Whatever. The fitting room is probably inside, right?
Yes.
It's perfect.
Is it?
And to save time, I imagine you mean to ask about the horses.
Yes, I do. I ask about getting them in some kind of barn or whatever for the evening. And obviously, if I need to like pay for that, I can do that. But I will ask the
And
nice
since you
lady who's
were
been helping us.
so forthcoming with your purchases, she offers to put them up for one night for free.
Aw, that's so
Oh.
nice.
It's just
thank
2
her.
horses. I mean,
Yeah. I thank her very much for that.
she stabs you in the chest.
Oh, Jesus.
Sukuba. Sukuba. There it is.
Mm-hmm. She's been waiting for this opportunity her whole damn life.
Once again,
Yes.
we've stumbled upon. Well, with that, we're gonna probably wind down for the evening. Tessian's a little concerned that we don't have better shelter, because that's not good. He'll ask the nice stout something. Was that his-
Stoutman.
Stoutman at the
Good name for a
peg,
barman.
the powder keg,
Yes.
if he knows of any other like heavy duty tents, structures, things that we could set up or purchase, or gosh, even like a local skinner or someone that would know how to make them. We could buy it off them, that sort of thing.
Thinks about it for a minute. He says, I don't think so, no. Your best bet will probably be to use the mountain to your advantage. To use it to shield from the wind at the very least. It won't help much with the severe temperatures, but at least the wind won't be blowing so sharply through.
Well, very well. We appreciate all of your help in the rooms. So,
Okay. Head to bed for the night?
yeah.
Yep. We'll make sure. I will like make sure Isaac gets his warm clothes. I guess I'll knock on the door and just hope I don't wake him up.
No. Tessian will be like, it's fine. We just unlock the door, and then we'll just like put, I don't know, the warm cloak on top of him so he doesn't freeze, and he'll figure it out. He's a smart boy.
Yeah, and somebody's sleeping in that room with him, so whoever it is
Yeah.
can just bring it. Yeah, you
Oh,
can just
okay.
bring that stuff into him when
Yeah,
you head
I was
in.
gonna eat and bring food
Yeah.
for him too.
Okay.
Nice warm meal. Feels good to be warm on the inside. Head up to your rooms. Try and get an early start on rest.
Yeah.
I'll probably check our like rations beforehand in the bag of holding if we have any rations in there, and just make sure we're as prepared as we can be.
You should. And you also know that you could be using Goodberry for those purposes as well.
That's true.
Goodberry is basically a day of sustenance.
Okay. Yeah, that's good to know.
And
Okay.
you can make up to 10 with them with your first level spell.
Ooh. Excellent.
So that's also a backup in case you need sustenance.
Yeah.
All right. I will have everybody make, Lena make a nature check as you meditate.
Yes.
What, I can't make one?
You can make one with triple disadvantage.
Dude, yeah, let's see.
Roll 4 times. Take the lowest.
21.
I want to see what Tessian gets.
I do want to see this. This is just going to be beautiful.
Yes.
Okay, first batch, 9 is the lowest, and then we'll try again. Disadvantage, submit. Come on. 9. 9's the low. I got 9. It was
Hey.
a 14, 15, 21, and 9.
Jesus.
You're like, I can help Lena with this. I've been traveling with her for a while.
Yeah.
You can't.
Very in tune with
Yeah,
the
you're like,
natural world.
I feel it's cold outside. It's cold in that direction, especially to the east.
Yeah.
Doesn't really help. Lena, as you settle down for the night and enter your meditative state, you do feel 21. You feel a pretty strong sense that it is primarily east. It's a little bit to the north. That gut feeling that pulls you in a direction tells you you might be 50 miles away.
Okay. That's not bad. It's not bad at all. I will take it.
You also know that means you probably can't make it there in a day, but it shouldn't take 2. It just means you're gonna have to find some place to stay out there, because it's not a day's journey. The distance itself might not be a day's journey in good conditions because the conditions are bad. You know that to make it out there, you're going to have to find shelter for at least one night to
Okay.
finish the journey the next day. But you also know it should be no fewer than 2 away. So as far as like planning with the trial and whatnot, it should be fine.
Okay.
There and back, and still have time to sail back and go to Waychester.
Got it. Okay.
Isaac, you wake up at like 4 a.m. Having gotten rest, fitful rest, but still at least feeling a bit refreshed. You wake up much earlier than your companions because you went to bed way earlier than them, but you at least wake up and kind of feel a little bit better. Your level of exhaustion is gone. But you're also to the point where you're like, well, I'm certainly not sleeping anymore now, so you kind of have a couple hours in the morning to do with as you please, if anything.
Nah, just prepare for the shrine.
And then bright and early, although one of the things you find quickly in the morning is that there's a sun. It comes up. It's frequently overcast here in Frosthaven over on this peninsula, so you can see the sun behind a thin layer of clouds. The snow isn't quite as heavy this morning, but it is still lightly falling. So your room's kind of filled with some sunlight, but not a ton, to where you wake up pretty early and it's still nearly dark outside because there's not a lot of light yet. But having gone to bed a little early, you can set out this morning if you so please.
Yep, I think we should
So,
get going. Sooner the better.
Isaac, you have your winter clothes there as well. Everyone can don them if they so choose.
I absolutely do.
Yes.
You guys collect the horses and the wagon from Every Dog's Day.
Yep.
And make your way to the east side of town, presumably.
Yep.
So, one of the things that strikes you as you start to leave the city is the wind starts picking up almost immediately. The snow sort of whipping into your face as opposed to just kind of falling on your shoulders and the top of your head. You can sort of angle yourself such that you're not feeling it directly on your face. It's kind of coming from the north to the south, so you can kind of, if you're facing to the east and heading in that direction, you can, turn so that your head is blocked with the hat and whatnot. But still, anything that's even a little bit exposed, although you're mostly completely bundled up, you can feel this.
Okay.
If what was in the city felt bad, this is on a whole other level.
I have a question.
Yes.
Druidcraft. One of the things I can do, so I can create a sensory effect that... Oh, wait. That's not what I want. Oh, never mind. It's create a tiny harmless sensory effect that predicts what the weather will be at your location for the next 24 hours.
All right.
See, I thought I could...
Well, you can do that, but it's going to tell you...
No, I thought I could
Unrelenting
conjure up
cold,
like a thing.
Snow.
I misunderstood what that was.
Mm-hmm.
It's a weather
I
rock.
can create a sensory effect, but I don't know if that includes like sunlight. It says falling leaves, puff of wind. Yeah.
Would be negligent, if anything. As it is a cantrip, so it doesn't do a ton.
I see. Okay. I just wanted to see if I could do something to mitigate the...
Yeah, Druidcraft has several uses,
conditions.
but this is, even if you could produce like a really tiny flame, it'd be like a candle.
Right, which I can do. I can do
Yeah.
candle, torch, or a small campfire.
Yeah, so like, because it's magical, I would say it will help in this as far as like, you could put it inside this yurt that you bought inside and that'll help keep the inside of it a little warmer. It will have an effect on some of the rolls that are coming up, spoiler alert, but not a huge one.
Okay, well, I'm going to do it. I will set up a little magical whatever campfire in the tent that everybody's in.
Okay.
So at least you guys are comfortable.
And it also helps provide a light source as well because, again, not the brightest out there.
Yeah. Okay.
What's up, Crash, if anything?
A thing.
I was gonna ask, did we bring anything for the horses?
Oh, I was going to ask about
Food?
that. Like
No,
hay
to
or...
keep them out of the cold. We had to put them in a barn overnight.
No.
We'll just have to find
In
shelter.
the morning, I will tell you, I would have gone to get some blankets for the horses. It's good to keep them warm. As long as they stay dry, horses are usually pretty fine in the cold. Mm-hmm. Even really cold. It's if they get wet and cold is when it starts to be not so great.
Yeah.
And
I
Isaac
would
is,
thank you very much for that.
Isaac is the most familiar with horses, although Lena, you've quickly picked up how they work over your time with them now. But
Yeah,
he
but I'm
has
not
some
familiar
background
with
with
them
them.
in the cold, so that's good. Yeah.
You put in a coin and they rock back and forth.
yeah, it's fun. Sometimes they go in a circle.
I want to use Gust to basically target nothing instead of like moving a small creature 5 feet or moving an object 5 feet. I want to move the wind 5 feet in the opposite direction of me so that I can just make it not as windy.
Is that a
I don't know.
cantrip? What is that?
It's a cantrip, yeah.
Assuming you're sitting in the back, is anybody but Lena sitting up front?
Oh, I guess that's true. Is it just Lena up there?
I think it's just me.
Poor thing.
I wouldn't leave her up there alone.
Aw, you guys.
I guess if I'm in the back, then I don't really care.
Yeah, so it's not going to do you a lot of good because the shelter is taking the sting off the wind for the most part.
You're right. For some reason, I thought it was up front, but then I'm like, no, why would I do that if I don't have to?
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm not just poofing up the wind inside. That's the dumbest thing.
blowing wind
We're trying to
around for no
avoid the
reason.
wind, and I'm in there just like.
Yeah. All right, let him make an animal handling check.
Okay. Please roll good. I really need to roll good.
Get good.
Animal
Just wanna click things and
handling. There it is. Okay. 15.
So you can immediately feel how much more slowly this is going. The horses are pushing forward. They're not having a huge time or a huge issue with it, but you can tell their footsteps are a little unsteady. That because they're hindered by just these snowblown terrain, essentially, that they're having to kind of wade their way through it, and it slows them down a bit. And having driven them a lot recently, like you can tell right away, like, yep, they were right. Like this is not going to be a fast-going trip. But still, you've got a good bond with them. You're able to direct them. They don't seem thrilled about this, but they are still moving forward steadfastly. I will have you and Karash make a Constitution saving throw.
Oof. Oh! You get to add your charisma to it. My charisma +3.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you're within
Thanks.
10 feet of me.
Oh. Okay, so
everybody
now,
hug Crash.
so 22 Constitution with
Okay.
Crash's extra boost. Thank
I
you.
would say add 2 because you are getting some limited warmth from the flame.
Okay, so
So
21?
23.
23.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Karash.
Thank you.
17.
Is that with the +2?
That's with my +3. I didn't give a +2. So 19.
Okay. Without the benefit of protection, you get used to the wind. At first, it's bone chilling, and over time, your body sort of adjusts to it. You have the clothes that at least take the worst of the sting out of it, but at the end of the day, you're still sort of exposed to the wind itself, and it's rough up there. Tessian and Isaac, you're cold, but not freezing, particularly with the outfits you have on. Like, it's not comfortable even in the back, protected from the wind, but at least it's like, okay, certainly manageable. You're not shivering back there or anything. It's just kind of like, I'd rather not be in this condition if I didn't have to be, but at least it's not as bad as it could be.
Right.
Who's up with Lena?
Crash.
Oh,
Just
okay.
Crash.
Okay, then I would, as long as she's not alone.
Yeah. You guys both succeed on your check. You definitely feel as though, like, it's not going to be a pleasant day, but you're not at least suffering any ill effects from it yet.
Okay.
One of the things you guys notice as you start making your way east is that there is very little in the way of landmarks. You guys set out in the direction that you felt. You have a pretty strong sense of Atlanta, so you kind of know where you're headed, both in terms of the direction, the bearing, and the distance. But heading out in that direction, you can see like there is no signs of recent footprints in the snow. They would have to be pretty recent because the wind and the snow keeps falling and blowing over them, but there are zero signs of any other things nearby. There are no paths. There are no waypoints. This is just a harsh tundra where very few people ever seem to go.
If there's no landmarks, I'll keep my compass with me to keep a good bearing on where we returning. I'm assuming will be trickier because we don't have her magical whatever.
Yeah, it's true, actually.
And one of the things you notice is that because of all the blinding snow, once you get a few miles away from the city, it is very difficult to see anymore. And you get the sense that by the time you reach your destination, you will have no visual on Frosthaven whatsoever.
Okay.
You can see off to the left, to the north, to your left, a pretty tall mountain range with heavy snow on its peaks, and it pretty much covers the entire northern side of the peninsula, so it's constantly at your left as you keep riding. And it sort of extends down. You can tell from your bearing, Lena, that like what you're looking for is not up in the mountains, thank God. But it is sort of alongside them, if that makes sense, maybe at their base.
Okay. Yeah.
To where if you're heading in that direction, you might be able to find the refuge that that Thomas Stoutman mentioned.
Yeah.
Use the mountains to sort of shield from the wind, because it does seem like the wind is kind of just curling over the peaks and coming down and across this plain. As you guys continue your journey, as you guys are trying to do anything in this, or just kind of trying to keep warm best you can?
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's survive mode. Get where we need to get to mode. I mean, maybe Tessian like glances at his books and stuff, but then he's like, "Oh, I don't know. My fingers get a little cold, so then we'll just put them back in." And
Yeah.
I'm going to be up there talking to Lena about how this is clearly this counts as a storm, and so Cord is just challenging us, but he will not allow us to fail. So.
Oh, okay. I like it. I kind of just listen and
nod quietly.
Yes.
Tessian's bugging Isaac. He's like, "So, any handy tricks there? Those books of yours? Vigilante versus the sudden blizzard or something like that?"
And more droll than usual, Isaac's like, well, the vigilante usually makes love to keep warm. So I don't really see that helping us here.
No, I don't think so.
Other than that, not a lot of wisdom in these books.
Oh, God.
I see. And then there's awkward silence.
I'll hand you the book. You're welcome to read. Maybe if you're into that thing, it'll get your blood a little hot, if you know what I'm saying.
Thea always liked them, but I don't know. Maybe I'll visit it later when my fingers aren't so cold.
I just take it back, put it back in my pocket.
All right, everybody, as you get another hour or so into this journey, making steady, albeit somewhat slow progress.
Okay.
I need everyone to make a survival check.
Oh, God.
Easy. I've trained my body for this through ice baths.
Like, I
This
hope
is
you have
a-
like a -5.
A group check. I'm not going to give you guys a -5. It's just where would I set the DC?
I just want him.
16.
Ooh,
I take
26.
ice baths every day to prepare for every temperature.
16. Who didn't roll?
I'm actually telling that to Tessian as we're like both shivering. I'm like,
The iPad that he has is an old iPad, so it's pretty slow.
oh my god.
Ooh.
I got a critical for a 21.
I see you have taken ice baths as well.
I'll have you know that I used to go diving with my uncle out in the ocean. You know, the winds are a little biting, but I'm used to the cold water.
Do you know that they say that cold water helps you hold your breath even longer?
I never had to deal with it myself, but yes, I've heard that.
I once heard of a Thomas Cruisington who could hold his breath for 4, perhaps 5 minutes.
He did a lot of running too. Cardio was great.
Looked very silly while he did it, but man, was he in shape. Highway to the danger zone. Because none of you are really focused on much except the journey and keeping warm as best you can, as a group, you're able to keep your bearing best as you can. Karash's compass is helping Lena's inner sense, and you guys are also kind of keeping an eye out from the back and just making sure you're heading in the right direction, that the horses aren't kind of slipping off the path, wandering off to their own direction, like shielding themselves from the wind by turning south. That's a success for the group.
Good. Yay.
We didn't get lost and die.
Oh my god, there was a potential risk.
I mean, if you all rolled naturals 1s or something, maybe. Would I have built that in? No, I wouldn't have done that, would I?
It would have given us a chance to saving throw against Constitution for death.
There's a stretch where the snow at least stops falling for a bit. The winds are still as unrelenting as ever, but for the very least, you're able to kind of get slightly warmer just because you're not getting covered in white stuff. The horses are grateful for this stretch because they also have, not had the best time, but they're hanging in there. You are about 25 miles out of your 50 or so, about halfway.
Okay.
At the mid-afternoon point, having left early, maybe about 2 o'clock. So you know that if you pushed into the midnight range, you might be able to make it there in one day, but you also know the horses are more tired than normal. So you suspect you might be able to get another 10 or so miles before you want to start thinking about setting up shop for the night somewhere.
Okay.
Yep.
I will have everybody make, oh God, where did it go? An investigation check.
Oh dear.
Or perception. I'll give you the choice. How about that?
Ooh.
I'm
One
going
of
to do
these things-
perception.
I am a
'cause that's
benevolent
my
god.
Stronger thing.
And those two are somewhat interchangeable.
22.
18.
I'm back on my game.
Oh yeah, lucky 7.
5.
As you continue on this mostly eastern direction, you're desperately kind of trying to keep an eye out for anything that gives you a more exact sense of how far you've been, how far might be left. You're keeping the mountains on your left are hard to miss, but you're looking just for anything else that might give you better footing in the snow, like a better direction, Lena, you in particular, like to direct the horses, and like it's a little less deep here in the snow than it is elsewhere.
Yeah.
It is difficult. Isaac's kind of leaning forward at certain points, being like, hey, like that looks a little better over this direction, like he's helping to guide as well. Karash is distracted and not helpful.
The
Testing is
compass
cold.
is spinning.
Yeah, it's the pirate's compass. It does what it wants. It feels like you don't make faster progress through this stretch, but you're also not slowed down, because that was 2 successes and 2 failures. So you don't gain any ground or make up any time, but you also don't slow down and lose your progress.
Okay.
Getting to be about 5 o'clock now, about 35 miles into the journey, and you don't have a great sense of the sun setting because it's behind you. I mean, you can tell the light's starting to dim a bit, but you're getting the sense that the conditions are about to worsen, and it might be about time to sidle over by that mountain and see what you can do to set up for the night.
Yep. I definitely do that.
Okay. So you pull the horses over to the side at the base of the mountain, and as Stoutman mentioned, it's better. There is still a faint wind as it just curls over the top of the peaks, but its harshest effects are at least minimized to as much as they can be. It's enough to where you feel like you could build a fire and it wouldn't be just put out by the wind.
Yeah.
I don't know, it means you have to build a fire, but
Do we have wood?
Well, I think I can build a fire, but do I need resources for that?
if it's a spell, you do not. You have the
Okay.
stuff you need to cast with you.
Okay,
I mean-
because I can just do that.
I mean, we have prestidigitation. Like, I can easily do that. We just need, like, something to burn.
The horses.
So let's have you. That's it. Lots of fat on those horses. It'll burn forever. Let's have you guys. Anybody who wants to assist making a campfire, make an athletics check.
What? Okay.
Wait, do I have to do
Athletics.
an athletics check if I'm making it, or do I just do the thing?
Oh, look at that.
I'll say you can do it with advantage since you're casting a spell to help.
Okay, cool.
It's weird, but that's what we're doing.
26.
7.
With advantage. Okay. Ooh, I critted 21.
Okay.
A 17. I gave myself advantage because I'm using prestidigitation.
Okay. So with the help of some magical means and Karash's sturdy frame, you guys clear out the snow in a small area best you can, so that A, you can put the hut on a flat surface, and B, you can clear room for a campfire to sort of burn whatever's on the ground. There's not a whole lot underneath the snow, but there is enough that you can maybe gather together some sticks, some very frozen plants, enough to keep the fire going through the evening probably. So as a group effort, you succeed there. get a decent sized fire going. Parking this makeshift hut of sorts. It's lower than a hut, but next to it, we'll at least get the warmth to kind of channel inside, and it'll also mitigate against what little of the wind remains. And you guys are free to bed down for the night best you can. You have the makings of some beds from your cart, so rudimentary sleeping pads.
Yeah. I will feed the horses and maybe even try to like brush some of the snow off them and maybe check on the blankets and make sure they're not like sopping wet.
Not to force you into something, but I think this would be a good time to Goodberry. Unless you want to, because you're going to have to eat rations more often in a day, whereas this would kind of cover things for a while.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I will definitely Goodberry.
And you'll probably get your spells back overnight unless something happens.
Hey.
Yeah, how are we going to do watch? Nobody wants to be outside. We got to watch the horses at least.
I'll do first watch.
I guess we can. Yeah. Whatever. We'll make it work. Break it up.
Sit by the fire outside of the hut and still do okay.
Goodberry. How do I
Won't be your most pleasant watch.
like cast it?
Yeah. Put the cart with the wind into the wind so that it breaks as much as we can.
So you see as Lena kind of touches the sprig of mistletoe that she always has in her ear, and then she's able to kind of conjure up in her hand this small pile of berries, which doesn't look like much. But assuming she would like to distribute them to the group.
I would.
And the horses if you'd like.
Yeah, I'll give it to them
They can do it too.
Why can't I like click
She
on
offers
it?
one to each of you, and eating it, you do feel yourself restored. It's oddly filling, even though it has no business filling with how little it is, but you don't. It takes off the edge of the hunger, and you feel quite content.
I don't know why I can't like click on it, but whatever.
It's a little bitter, but it's good.
Who's keeping watch? Lena and
Me. I'll take watch.
perception checks, please.
Crap.
As Tessie and Isaac bed down for the night.
We're bed buddies.
Oh, a 3.
It seems to be building that way too. The book, we dropped some hints.
I know.
Tonight's the night.
Our hands are
Oh,
just going to
God.
find each other in the night.
13.
Okay. Lena, on your first watch, since you only need a limited amount of time to meditate to be rested anyways, you can kind of sit and be as attuned to this as possible. It's unfamiliar to you, even though you're out in nature in its harshest conditions. It's also unlike anything you've really experienced before. It gives you a chance over the course of the 4 hours or so to really just kind of become used to it more. That doesn't mean that you're warm or anything, but you're at least kind of like, okay, like you're used to how like the snow can become wet over time as it melts near the campfire and all these different changes that are new to you. Don't really notice anything different, or certainly nothing like approaching your guys' campfire. You just hear the wind. Especially you can hear it more than you feel it now. You can still hear it howling over the top of the mountain, but you don't feel the effects quite so harshly. But that drowns out any other sounds that you might pick up on. Karash, you don't hear anything except the wind. You see nothing except the flickering flames. Seems fine, though, as the night passes, and you can just make out the first light on the horizon through this pretty heavy cloud cover to the east. But you can tell it must be time to rise and shine. You guys can put out the fire, pick up your belongings. Presumably the same setup as yesterday, unless you want to change it around.
I'm good with the same old, same old.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys
Lena,
are the toughest,
make
I think.
a nature check.
23.
That sense inside of you is growing stronger.
Okay.
You do indeed seem to be about 15 miles from your destination. You have an almost exact sense of which direction now. If you follow Karash's compass, you should be able to find it to an almost certain degree.
Okay. I'll communicate that as such to him.
That is good. I wish to get out of the cold.
Yeah.
Yes, I think we all do. Sooner the better.
I'll have you guys make a constitution check, not a saving throw, just your raw constitution.
Tessian's sharing the warmth with Isaac with his prestidigitation. Keep our Her shirt's
I think
warm.
it rolled a save.
Oh,
How
like
do we
it.
make it just roll like a regular Constitution check?
Just click your
It's just-
Constitution stat.
Oh, okay.
14.
14.
This is a
Wait,
tougher
how-
check, but it's also a shorter leg of the journey, so the DC is not as high.
How do I just press the regular thing? I'm so sorry.
Just
12.
click on the word Constitution.
Yeah,
on
the word
left,
Constitution on the left.
above the
On
modifier number.
left.
Yeah, where your
okay.
ability scores are.
Yes. 20.
Boom.
Yeah.
And the lowest with 12.
Okay. That is a group success. The second day is both better and worse. On the one hand, you have a better sense of what to expect. Having been through it for a day, you kept not warm overnight, but you certainly weren't freezing. Got a decent night's sleep, though it was a little tough. The ground's cold and hard. Your pads shield you from some of that, but it's also just a second day of exposure to it where you haven't had a chance to escape it. But you guys push onward. The horses push ahead. And within 3 or 4 hours, as you reach just about noontime, you see off in the distance, because of Lena's keen senses leading you this direction without even having to really see it coming up, what appears to be 2 dragon head statue pillars.
Ooh.
2 pillars that rise up out of the ground with dragon heads on each side, marking off almost exactly where you sensed that it was last night, the entrance to what appears to be a cave cut into the base of the mountain.
Okay. I will kind of turn around and can I like open the hut thing that's in the wagon? Like open the like a tent door or whatever?
It kind of has an opening to it.
Yeah. So I'll call into the opening that we're almost there, everyone.
Oh, amazing. Amazing.
Shivering.
Yeah.
The opening to this cave is wide enough that you can bring the horses and the cart inside. It's
Good.
It's good.
maybe 15 feet as kind of a semicircle.
It's good.
Pretty decent size. Inside, you see what appears to be... It's essentially like last time where this has been carved, so it's an unnaturally smooth surface on all the sides. The difference is, unlike the Earth Shrine, that there's this faint layer of ice on all sides, but not the floor. It is still cold in here. It is an improvement because there's no longer the wind or the snow that you're being exposed to, but you feel like if you weren't in the garb you were in, you would be uncomfortable in here. But it's at least enough to where, again, you can proceed without really feeling that much of a chill to your bone. And the inside of the cave seems to lead downward, sloped downward to a slight extent, not heavily, but down, and heads in a northern direction.
Okay.
Maybe this will be an easy shrine. The real test was getting here.
That
I
would
can
be,
hope, right?
Wouldn't that be a nice change of pace? I guess we'll see. Before we go, though, I will just tend to the horses, make sure they're good in here. Blankets, food. I think I'll probably set up a fire for them as well, just so, depending on how long we're in here, so they're comfortable. And then as soon as I do that, I'm ready to go down.
Well, Lena,
Let's
you lead.
go.
Yeah.
And I lead.
Okay. Where you lead, I will follow. Man, fuck Gilmore Girls. Okay. You guys start making your way in, and you notice the cave shrinks a bit. It's still maybe 12 feet on all sides. Not quite as big as the opening originally was, but it's still more than comfortable enough for everybody to kind of walk through. Maybe in twos. Can't go like off to see the wizard 4 wide.
Yeah.
But you're not cramped either. It's roomy enough that you can advance with relative ease. Eventually, the path, after about maybe 5 minutes of walking, the path reaches a solitary door without any notable markings on it. Doesn't appear to have a keyhole or a locking mechanism on it, just a door carved into the same sheer stone wall with ice surrounding it. Just a door.
Any carvings, like letters, any kind of messages over the door or anything
Not
like
that
that?
you can tell, no. With your
Is
passive
there-
perception, you'd probably pick up on it pretty easily, and
Yeah.
no, it looks like there are no carvings or markings surrounding this door of any kind.
Is there like a doorknob where I can just
There
try to
is.
open it? Okay. I'm gonna try and open it since there's no lock or messages or anything.
Touching the door, the handle gives. It's also very cold.
Okay.
You take 2 points of cold damage,
Ouch. Okay.
Oh dear.
but the handle does turn. It doesn't seem to be locked.
Okay.
And assuming you open it,
I'm gonna try.
inside is a familiar sight. Unlike before, where this was kind of this unfamiliar tunnel that was kind of different. The last one was sort of in the mountains, but it was up in them, and you had to kind of slide behind this rock to get access to where the shrine was.
Yeah.
This one had a marked opening to the point where it's almost like they don't expect anybody to stumble on this one by accident, unlike the last one.
Yeah.
But now that you've reached this door, open it up inside has a circular dais in the middle of the room, 8 torches that are lit surrounding it. The torches, as you're looking at them, don't seem to be providing warmth, only light. But they are lit as you enter this chamber. And across the room on the far side, there is another door. Looks kind of like the one you just entered, but above it is indeed in Elvish carved Conatus, which is like last time. I think it might have been in both Common and Elvish. I don't remember. You can read both.
I
It's fine.
can.
That's intentional.
Yes.
And as you sort of take a second to get your bearings, you also see a familiar lightish blue glow from the center of the dais. And just like last time, a humanoid figure appears in the center of the room, seemingly unconscious.
Is it Luca?
A quick
And-
look tells you it is not.
It is Luca.
Some unfamiliar figure. And
Yeah.
that is where we will leave off until next time. Coming up, you guys will tackle the second shrine of the Conatus with whatever perils and puzzles await you, and whatever in the world is happening in the middle of this room again. That'll happen next time.